Okay, so get this. My future sister-in-law invites us over for a family dinner, just so she can beg us for money for an extravagant wedding because I quote, she's about to be part of the family. It's been 2 years since my twin brother cut off his engagement. Some of his friends still talk about it, and sometimes I know he thinks about what would have been if he'd married her anyways. But then, cutting off the engagement was the best decision for him. Monica has been a friend to me long before she even met my twin brother. We met in college, and even after graduation, my first job was also the same company she worked at. One of the major reasons why I left my first job was because of her, and now thinking about it, I regretted not permanently keeping her away from my life after I left workplace. Monica is quite cunning, but then I excused it for no one's actually perfect. After each monthly paycheck, she would spend her money lavishly, and then less than 2 weeks later would beg me to borrow some money just to last for the month. The first month she did it, I gladly borrowed her this cash, but by the end of the second, even after both getting paid another paycheck, she did not return back the money. Her excuse was that she has not been able to meet her bills and that she would pay me back soon enough. I cared so much about Monica, so I didn't exactly mind. I kept borrowing her cash almost every month, and she kept on making empty promises. After a while, I began to just give her part of my paycheck without even borrowing money anymore, because I know she would not return it. I got fed up and left the workplace. I felt it was better to just leave than get involved in any sort of drama with her. That aside, I was avoiding her because she had begun to make moves on me that were unappreciated. Whenever I and Monica were in a room alone, she would try to seduce me. I had a girlfriend at the time, and so was bent on staying loyal. Monica knew, yet she still tried her best to get me to lay with her. My then girlfriend, who knew about Monica, had already begun to complain about our closeness. It was a decision to either keep my relationship or stay away from Monica completely. Leaving my workplace hardly even had any effects on me because I'd already had another job offer, somewhere else waiting for me, and I jumped on it immediately. Several months passed, and I did not hear any word from Monica. It wasn't like I cared, though. At least I was glad she wasn't taking part of my paycheck or trying to seduce me. However, something unfortunate happened. I lost my second job due to some misunderstandings at my workplace. Something that wasn't even my fault. Few weeks after losing my job, Monica reached out to me and then we got to talking. I told her about how I lost my job. Somehow, Monica knew that the reason I left my first place of work was because of her. I didn't tell her, but it was pretty evident that she knew. She then told me about how she had a particular friend that was heading an organization and that he would need my skills. She promised to talk with him and I thanked her. I was quite surprised that she was helping me because the Monica I knew was quite cunning. However, it did not take long for me to understand that she was rendering that favor because she really had feelings for me. I couldn't be with her because she wasn't the type of woman I date. Even though she is really beautiful, apart from that, I was still in a relationship with somebody else. For several weeks, I remained jobless because Monica promised to talk to someone about getting me a job, but she never did. She kept requesting that we saw each other, and one time I finally agreed. She tried to make a move on me. I resisted, of course, and she got quite mad. As a result of this, she did not speak to her manager friend about me getting a job. I was heartbroken, but then I strived to get a job on my own. I finally did find a job that turns out it was the same company that Monica wanted to help me get a job, but then she didn't. The manager also got to know that Monica was someone I already knew. A week into my job, Monica found out I already got the job there, and she claimed that the only reason I was accepted was because she talked to the manager about me. Well, that was obviously a miscalculated lie because it wasn't until after I got the job that the manager found out that I was indeed friends with Monica. I walked into the company myself without Monica's recommendation. There was this sort of party that one of my friends was hosting. The friend was also friends with Monica, so obviously she was going to be there. It was night party, but then I decided not to go alone. I have a twin brother, so I took my twin brother along with me. We're really identical, and even on that day we had identical clothing on by accident. All these years, I've never told Monica that I had a twin brother because we weren't that close to the extent that I'd actually think it's necessary to tell her intimate details. My brother lives in a completely different world of his own, and it was only once in a while we would get to meet each other, even though we are twins. I wanted to spend some time with my twin brother, so I felt taking him to the party with me would be a good start. I saw Monica, but then she did not see me and tried to avoid her throughout the night. I also left my brother on his own just to socialize with folks at the party. Unknowingly to me, he'd already met Monica, and so she's flirted with him thinking he was me. My brother, well, I guess he found her attractive and so reciprocated the feelings. They did not even exchange names before they began to flirt at the party, and it wasn't until some few hours later before she actually realized that she was flirting with my twin. However, they already shared some sort of connection with each other, and so after the party, they kept up with each other. I got to realize months later that they got into a relationship. Of course, I was happy for them. Why wouldn't I be? About a year later, my twin brother announced to the family that he's getting married to Monica. Honestly, I didn't even know that they were going to last together. Monica's lifestyle seemed so different from that of my brother. But then, who was I to get involved? It was during the time of the wedding announcement that I begun to see more and more of Monica. She would drop by our family house every now and then. She would also call me, telling about how she was so excited that we were going to be in-laws. Since Monica was going to be my in-law, I felt there was no reason to be stiff with her anymore, so I loosened up. She would drop by my apartment just to greet me, but then I noticed that she was in some ways still flirting with me. I really didn't know what her game was, because I felt for her to be engaged with my brother, then she must be completely in love with me. Or maybe she wasn't really in love with my brother as she was with me. Maybe she just decided to settle with him because he reminded her so much of me. I really didn't know what her deal was. But then I was pretty sure that she was obsessed with me. The last time I willingly let her into my apartment was when she really crossed her boundaries. She confessed to me. She confessed to me standing there in my apartment that the only reason why my brother had her was because I refused to yield to her. She told me that we still got a chance if I was willing to take it. However, I would not betray my twin brother, so I sent her packing out that apartment door. The date for my brother's wedding was becoming closer and closer. My brother, or our family, did not really have much, and because of this, we decided on a small wedding for him. However, during that time, I got a promotion at work, and this increased my paycheck almost double. I also got some unexpected but quite huge amount of money. But then I was making plans to use that money to pay for my dad's surgery, because he had been ill for a while. Apart from that, the change from the money would use to be sponsored a side business I just started, a little hustle. Of course I was going to contribute to my brother's small wedding, but then it wasn't so much because that was what I could afford for the wedding. News travels quite fast because within a week of getting the promotion, Monica called just to congratulate me. The only person I informed about it was my brother, and I probably made a really big mistake by doing that, because how could I have expected him not to inform his fiancee about it? Monica had been bragging about having a really big wedding, and even though my brother already told her that he could not afford a large wedding, she still just kept insisting on it. Monica called me not too long again just to tell me that since I got the promotion, then surely she could have a bigger wedding. I told her, hey, that's not possible because I had the other priorities to solve with my money, but she told me about how her wedding was a one-time thing and that I could deal with priorities anytime. When I told her that it's not going to work, she then revealed to me that she's had some findings, and she was informed that the company gave me a large sum of money recently. I told her that the money was for my dad's surgery and a side business. But then she said that my father had been sick for a while and can still hold on for a little while longer, and that I can still do without my small business for some time. I caught the phone on her because I was so irritated by the way that she felt entitled to my money. I wanted to inform my brother about it, but I didn't want to be the reason why they had an argument. Just a few weeks leading up to their wedding, I decided to let it go and then made up an excuse for Monica. After all, she's already been so cunning and entitled and would probably not stop for a long time. Well, about 3 weeks to the wedding, my brother called me saying that Monica wishes to bond more with her in-laws by inviting them to dinner. I was included. Of course, I had to oblige for the sake of my brother. I got there, and then my parents were also there, along with her younger sister and mother. It was a cheerful sight because the in-laws were able to familiarize more with each other, and they even thanked Monica for making such a sensible move to host a dinner. They thought it was a sensible move, but turns out it was a calculative, motive-driven move. Lasted halfway into dinner, Monica reminded everyone how she mentioned wanting to have a big wedding. She then said that she understood how my brother did not have so much, but that she was glad that I could afford the wedding fees. Everyone smiled, looking at me as if it were true. I had to tell everyone at the table of my intentions to use the money with something bigger. She then said one sentence that made me so annoyed. I got your current job for you, and you choose to repay me back with your ungratefulness. Everyone stopped, staring at me hard, especially my brother. I never actually told them about how I got my current job. My twin brother asked me if it was true, but obviously it wasn't, so I said no. I told him that she volunteered to help me get a job, and at the same company, but they eventually bailed out. I told him of how I got the job all on my own, but Monica kept insisting at the table that it was her efforts that got me the job. Well, she then said that I would have been fired a very long time ago and possibly never gotten the promotion if it wasn't for her influence. I could see the look on my brother's face because I never actually told him that Monica was friends with my manager, and neither did I tell him of our past closeness. After dinner, everyone stayed back a bit. I walked up to my brother just to explain the whole situation to him, but he seemed a bit hostile. He then asked me if Monica and I have used or have ever had an affair in the past, because it seemed so, but then I assured him that I had no affair with his fiancée, and when I mentioned that she was even the one pushing herself on me, he got so angry that I had to leave the scene immediately before he smashed something. Well, me and my brother stopped talking for a while after that day because he believed that Monica and I both had something we were hiding. That dinner was so awkward. Monica did call me the next day over the phone, and she said that if I did not give her the money she needed for the wedding, then she would have to call my boss and tell him to fire me. I couldn't believe she would do something like that, but then she seemed to mean it. That night, I weighed the money in my hand, and I still couldn't drop such large funds for a wedding because it's already been budgeted for something else. Well, she didn't stop. She kept calling and calling me every now and then to demand for the money, and it wasn't until my boss called, saying someone laid a complaint about my input in my first job, until I believed Monica had actually spoken to my boss. She told my boss that once we were in the same company, and the only reason why they sent me packing was because of some money I stole. My boss didn't fire me, but then put me on a suspension. A week before the wedding, my brother called me saying he was ready to hear my side of the story. He came to my house and we talked about it. He told me that after that dinner, he noticed that his wife kept insisting on such a large wedding. He then said that even after he told her of my plans to pay for our dad's surgery, she said that that surgery could wait. It was after the dinner that my brother began to realize that marrying Monica might not be the right choice after all. She was a liar, manipulator, and would go through almost any lengths to get whatever she wanted. I even told my brother about how she told my boss to fire me. He got so angry because he knew I needed that job and promotion so badly. My brother, who was the one who encouraged me to get a set business, so he could get mad when I told him that Monica wanted me to keep the business on hold so I could give her money for a useless, bigger wedding. My twin brother even said that Monica was planning to uninvite me from the wedding, and I would not give her money for it. Few days before the wedding now, and my brother finally found the courage to cancel the whole wedding and break up with Monica because he felt that she prioritized material things over anything that really matters. She didn't care about the well-being of his family, neither did she care about his opinions. Monica called me right after the breakup saying that she would make sure I lost my job and would keep implicating me in every other job I got. However, my manager probably wasn't a manager for no reason. He was smart. He had already sent a letter to my previous company, and they confirmed that I left on my own terms happily. Even the second company I worked for just for a few months, my boss inquired about me there and confirmed that me leaving was just a misunderstanding. Currently, I've cut every form of ties with Monica. So has my brother. I kinda feel bad for making my brother meet her, though. If only I had not gone to that party and dragged my brother with me, then probably none of this would have ever happened. Also, even after they met, I should have warned my brother about her, but I never did. I do blame myself, but hey, there's a lesson to be learned right here. Okay, so I'll say, in my opinion, the worst part about Monica, for me, is the fact that she was basically just completely ignoring the issue that OP's father was seriously ill, and he needed a large portion of that money for the surgery. Anybody who will just say, no, he can wait, we need that money for my wedding. I think that's very selfish, entitled, and just downright toxic. But let me know your thoughts on this one, guys. Drop your opinions down below. If you don't agree with me, that's totally okay. Just tell me your thoughts and why you disagree, and let's go ahead and turn our attention to the next story of the day. Here's the title. Am I the a-hole for calling my brother's girlfriend a gold digger after she Googled the cost of all our Christmas gifts? Yeah, super weird. My brother James has a girlfriend, Lindsay, who he's been dating for 7 months. He decided to bring her to Christmas at my house, stay over Christmas Eve, and leave the next day after lunch. I'd met Lindsay at drinks before this, and she seemed really nice. When they arrived, Lindsay walked in and complimented my decorations, large tree in the foyer, and asked how much it cost. I was a bit surprised by the question, but I just said more than I'd like and moved on. Throughout the evening, she asked several questions centered around money. She asked my husband how much he paid for our house, my stepdad how much money he made in his previous job, how much my watch cost. She even Googled one of our art pieces to see how much it sold for, and started talking about how crazy it was that we spent that much, which frankly was very uncomfortable. My stepdad pulled my brother aside and asked if there was a problem, but my brother just said it's normal for her to do that, but he did say he'd speak to her. On Christmas morning, we all gathered around to open presents, and thankfully Lindsay did not say anything upward. So I figured James had spoken to her about her intrusive questions. However, at lunch, we were talking about plans for January, and Lindsay loudly said she did not know how we could afford to do anything in January, as she added up the total we spent on gifts, and then proudly proclaimed the total amount. The whole table went eerily silent. Crickets. And honestly, I was equal parts shocked and annoyed that someone could be so ignorant. I looked at Lindsay and said, "You know, you're the world's most diligent gold digger. Seriously, would you be the family accountant since you're already tracking expenses?" Lindsay stuttered out an apology and tried to explain, but stepdad just changed the conversation and we moved on. She was mercifully quiet for the rest of dinner. After they left, my brother messaged me saying I'd really upset Lindsay and was completely out of line with what I said. I argued that he had said he'd talk to her and he clearly didn't. Not that someone should need guidance to know how crass her comments were. He's saying I owe both of them an apology, but I think Lindsay's behavior was disgraceful. My parents say Lindsay was wrong, but I probably should have just ignored it or said something in private. Or they could have. I shouldn't have said something in front of everyone. So guys, am I the a-hole for this situation? So there's a controversial comment. A lot of people do agree with it, a lot of people don't agree with it, but let's read it. All of these everyone sucks here and you are the a-hole. These replies are dumbfounding, LOL. Have any of you people ever had an interaction with an actual human being? In what world is asking people how much money they make and adding up the totals of Christmas gifts normal? Not the a-hole! She was being incredibly rude and obviously making everyone uncomfortable. Okay, so that's a big one. Let me know your thoughts on that. I would have to agree. I think it was completely rude. Not really for the price of the gift. Who knows, but definitely for asking how much you make at your job. That's just a rude question to ask someone. In my opinion, especially when you don't know the person that well and you're trying to fit in with a new family. But let me know your thoughts, guys, and how you would have handled this situation differently. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And guys, have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next one.